The wife of Andrei Sakharov arrives in the U.S. and bombs explode in crowded downtown Paris.
NBC Nightly News, reported by Connie Chung.
Good evening. Yelena Bonner, wife of Soviet dissident Andrei Sakharov, is reunited with her family here in the U.S. She arrived tonight. The Soviet Union allowed her to come here for heart treatment. Jennifer McLogan has details.
Yelena Bonner left Rome this morning. It was her first trip to the West in 6 years.
Goodbye. Arrivederci.
Come sta, signora?
I am very happy. Я очень рада видеть моих.
Mrs. Bonner, who suffers from heart problems and glaucoma, arrived in Italy Monday for a series of eye examinations. During her stay, she met with Italian Premier Bettino Craxi and Pope John Paul II. She declined to comment on either meeting. She had signed an agreement with Soviet authorities not to make detailed statements to the press as a condition for receiving permission to leave the Soviet Union. Mrs. Bonner has been detained in the closed city of Gorky since the spring of 1984 on charges of anti-Soviet slander. She was convicted and sentenced to 5 years of exile in Gorky, where her husband, Andrei Sakharov, was banished in 1980. Sakharov, the Soviet Union's best-known dissident and winner of the 1975 Nobel Peace Prize, reportedly staged a nearly 6-month hunger strike aimed at winning permission for his wife to go abroad for medical treatment. In Moscow today, the official news agency TASS dismissed what it said were Western rumors that Sakharov was in poor health. Mrs. Bonner says her husband is very ill. Mrs. Bonner landed briefly in New York before flying on to Boston, where family members awaited her. Her exit visa lasts 3 months, but it may be extended if she decides to undergo heart bypass surgery in Boston. This evening, Yelena Bonner's joyous family, which included her daughter, her son, and her elderly mother, greeted her at Boston's Logan Airport and welcomed Yelena Bonner home. Jennifer McLogan, NBC News, New York.
Bombs ripped through 2 downtown Paris department stores crowded with Christmas shoppers. At least 25 people were injured. Several terrorist groups claim responsibility, including the Palestinian group that hijacked the Achille Lauro. NBC News Paris Bureau Chief David Phillips reports.
The bombs exploded in the 2 largest popular stores in Paris on the first big weekend of the Christmas shopping rush. The first went off in the basement of Galerie Lafayette, packed with 8,000 shoppers, many of them stampeding into the street, hampering the arrival of ambulances, police and firemen. Minutes later, the next explosion across the street at Printemps in the perfume department. The casualties there could have been higher, but the package containing the bomb was spotted and the department largely evacuated before it went off. Panic in the area increased with the rumor of another bomb in a subway station, and with the fear of further explosions, other stores shut early. Tonight, a French news agency received an anonymous call which claimed the bombs were set off by a Palestinian Liberation Front splinter group in protest against a move by the government to improve its relations with Iran. David Phillips, NBC News, Paris.
Coming up, President Reagan pushes for tax reform even though it may mean a Democratic bill. Bob Kerr will have details. Lee McCarthy on a disease called compulsive shopping, as serious as drug addiction and alcoholism. And Stephen Frazier tells us about the search to get a better look at Halley's Comet.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Look, no cord. It's rechargeable. It never needs a cord because this convenient charger stand keeps it continually charged. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Here's why. The first screen shaves incredibly close, the second even closer. The Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver shaves as close as a blade or your money back. And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift, shaves without a cord.
Your days go by fast. Your work never seems to end.
That's why Whirlpool dishwashers are designed to make your world a little easier. Our Power Clean Energy Saver dishwashers are easy to load, have the power to clean up almost anything you dish out, and are energy efficient. Whirlpool, quality appliances.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool makes it easier for you.
Wearers, here's Danny
Thomas.
You know, this stogie's been my trademark, on stage and off. But it leaves tough tobacco stains on my dentures. So I use new super strength Smoker's Polydent every day. Look at this tobacco stain. Now watch super strength Smoker's Polydent do a job. In minutes, the stain is clean. Some difference, eh? Take it from Danny. New Smoker's Polydent is the soap for people who smoke. And now, with a minty fresh taste.
President Reagan today called on House members to pass major tax reform legislation next week, even if it is the Democratic version. The president said either of two competing bills under consideration would be an improvement over current tax law. Bob Kerr has more.
In his weekly radio broadcast, President Reagan told reluctant House members that he wants them to pass a tax revision bill even if he and they don't like parts of it.
While the proposals before the House are far from perfect, they do represent an essential step toward a tax code that is fairer, simpler, and encourages greater growth. I hope the House will vote yes next week and allow the Senate to consider debate and to improve this important measure.
The Democrats' response came from Chicago, and while the chairman of the House Tax Writing Committee had hoped for a stronger endorsement of his committee's bill, he appeared pleased to have won any help from the president.
It's good to have him as an ally as we make the final push on the House floor next week. And I've got every reason to believe he will back his support with some political muscle in the days ahead.
Some House members don't like the way the bill would affect industries in their districts, and there are other major objections. So congressional leaders say it'll take hard lobbying by President Reagan to save the tax bill. Not only is a big change in tax law at stake here next week, but a major change in the budget process also is due for a vote. Senate and House negotiators reached tentative agreement last night on a bill to force a balanced budget in 5 years, with the announcement a warning that even the first year's cuts would be painful.
Our staff estimates that someplace between 30 and 50 non-defense programs will have to be terminated. I don't mean cut, I mean terminated.
Under the balanced budget bill, the deficit would be reduced by a set amount each year. If the president and Congress failed to meet the annual limit, the president would order budget cuts. Social Security and most anti-poverty programs could not be cut. Critics label the idea of across-the-board budget cuts a cop-out.
It's kind of a hands-off way to deficit reduction. Nobody has to vote for any individual painful action, like cutting this program or raising that tax. You do it by some anonymous formula, and therefore, in theory at least, you don't have any blame.
Mandatory cuts in military spending, a feature of the bill which Defense Secretary Weinberger warns could harm the national defense.
The Defense Department and the national security requirements of the country are such that they can't be considered simply against the background of a deficit.
And many legal scholars warn that the Supreme Court would rule the notion of broad, new presidential budget-cutting power unconstitutional.
Essentially, however plausible it may be politically, the Constitution quite clearly gives to Congress the lawmaking power and the power of the purse.
But in spite of all the criticism, an author of the bill defends what he calls its simple appeal.
We make the budget binding on Congress, which is revolutionary here in Washington, but makes sense back home around the kitchen table.
A unique deadline upcoming for the balanced budget amendment. It's attached to a bill authorizing the government to borrow enough money to pay its bills. If Congress doesn't act by Wednesday night, government checks would begin to bounce. Bob Kerr, NBC News, at the U.S. Capitol.
A young AIDS carrier is free on $10,000 bond tonight in Flint, Michigan, pending a court hearing next week. 27-year-old John Richards is charged with assault with intent to murder after spitting in the faces of two police officers who were trying to arrest him on traffic charges. The assault charge was filed after a police physician advised that Richards' saliva should be considered potentially dangerous. Moscow today acknowledged the existence of AIDS in the Soviet Union, but the Soviets were quick to point out that there have been fewer than 10 cases, and they did not disclose whether any Soviet AIDS victims have died. This is the first time the Soviets have officially acknowledged the existence of AIDS inside the Soviet Union. Until now, Moscow has contended that the disease is the result of what it describes as experiments by the Pentagon and the CIA.
Some people save on fuel bills by turning down the heat at night, but that makes it pretty cold the next morning before they turn it back up. Now you don't have to suffer to save. AutoStat by First Alert fits most thermostats. No wiring needed. AutoStat automatically turns the temperature down at night to save money and turns it back up so your mornings are nice and warm. Get AutoStat by First Alert, because waking up in the cold is for the birds.
Available at your participating Sears.
The touch of oil of Olay. Sheer and light, it quickly penetrates to replenish your skin's youthful look. The touch that performs wonders for 50 million women throughout the world. Oil of Olay.
Hey, I don't worry about getting the dentures coming loose blues.
Fix-It and forget it. Fix-It has a special formula that helps fix loose spots for a strong, long-lasting hold. Use Fix-It and forget it.
A 3 cereal family. Maybe you'll agree on one when you see how they stack up to total.
I like Special K.
Hope you're hungry. You'll have to eat almost 3 bowls to stack up to the vitamin nutrition in 1 bowl of total.
Won't take 3 bowls of Raisin Bran.
No. 4.
I'm eating shredded wheat.
You're eating 12 bowls.
I'm not eating.
Whole Wheat Total gives you 100% of 9 vitamins and iron. That's a stack of nutrition.
In just 1 bowl.
Roman Catholic bishops today ended 2 weeks of meetings at the Vatican, during which they assessed the state of the Church in today's world. Keith Miller, who covered the synod for NBC News, reports it produced no dramatic changes.
The 165 participants in the extraordinary Synod of Bishops concluded their assembly by choosing to keep the Church on its present course. The bishops, in a statement, reaffirmed the reforms of the Second Vatican Council, which proclaimed that the Church should move into the modern world and should be more concerned with the social needs of Catholics. Still, the bishops issued a warning to those who attempt to take reform too far. False social and political interpretations of the work of the Church cannot be accepted, they said. Pope John Paul, speaking to the bishops, also warned against false interpretations. He called the synod to reassess the course of the Church since the Second Vatican Council 20 years ago. The bishops, in their statement, said contemporary problems facing the Church include respect for human life, racial discrimination, and suppression of civil and religious freedom. The bishops were clearly pleased with their performance.
Synod was a success, I think a great success.
American prelates said the synod confirmed the Church is on the right track and ended fears that reforms would be undone. And for the first time, the bishops will release a summary of their work, something that no synod has done before. But the document containing the findings and recommendations of the bishops is not likely to be controversial. Suggestions that divorced and remarried Catholics be allowed to receive communion did not gain support. And the issue of allowing women a greater role in the Church was not openly discussed. The bishops will head home without any major changes for their flock, but the synod did produce at least the appearance of unity and confirmed that reforms set down 20 years ago still apply. Keith Miller, NBC News, the Vatican.
In South Africa today, thousands of mourners turned out for the funeral of 11 more victims of racial violence. Peter Kent reports from Johannesburg.
Today's mass funeral followed the same tragic routine that has become so familiar in South Africa's black townships this year. Defiant singing and dancing mourners, paramilitary manner and dress, and a long row of coffins. In this case, 11 of the 17 men, women, and children who died 3 weeks ago in what is remembered here as the Queenstown Massacre. Community leaders say the police opened fire on a church meeting called to discuss a black consumer boycott of local white stores. As at another mass funeral earlier this week, the colors of the outlawed African National Congress were prominently displayed, and the names of jailed and exiled ANC leaders fervently shouted. Scenes like this notwithstanding, State President P.W. Botha says he believes the entire revolutionary movement is fading, that most blacks now support his negotiations with the men he calls responsible black leaders. His Deputy Minister of Information contends township residents are increasingly pro-government.
There's also been a very strong reaction building up amongst the black community against these people who instigate violence.
But in this black community east of Johannesburg today, there was little evidence of pro-government sentiment, and these people blamed the police for the violence. A group of community mothers and church leaders tried to gain the release of 40 school children arrested in night raids on their homes and detained without charges being made. The police refused and dispersed the crowd. Township tear gassings are not unusual. This one is notable largely because it is one of the few confrontations that TV cameras have been able to record since the ban on news coverage of the unrest began last month. It was a relatively minor incident, one of literally thousands listed by police in recent months. The attitudes of these parents and these mourners today, though, provide strong evidence of continued black anger. There is little talk here of patient negotiation. These people seem convinced that despite the deaths and suffering, their dream of racial equality and black government is closer by the day. Peter Kent, NBC News, South Africa.
Nicaragua today became the first Central American country to establish diplomatic relations with China. The two nations issued a joint communique in which Peking vows to support what it calls Nicaragua's just struggle to safeguard national independence. Managua's Sandinista government has been fighting a rebellion by U.S.-backed Contra rebels.
Tell Mommy I'm on my way.
General Motors is embarking on an odyssey down roads paved with technological wonders that might seem like science fiction. But at GM, they're becoming reality now. Laser body testing, sophisticated instrument displays, electronic navigation systems. The 21st century lies dead ahead, and today's GM is leading the way there. The GM Odyssey. Science, not fiction.
Nope, no butter. I'm eating lighter.
We all are.
Even if it's margarine. There's nothing light about that.
Everything's light about this. 25% less salt, fat, and calories, and no cholesterol.
Fleischmann's Light. 25% less salt, 25% less fat, 25% less calories than regular margarine.
Delicious. So why should I eat dry toast?
Beats me.
Fleischmann's Light. 25% less salt, fat, and calories.
Break free and feel. Feel how splendid you are with Vanderbilt, the fragrance created by Gloria Vanderbilt. Let it release the splendor of you. Vanderbilt.
The spirit of the West, captured in Chaps, the cologne by Ralph Lauren. Chaps is for men who are strong and proud and living with a feeling of independence. Chaps, the spirit of the West that's everywhere today.
That time of year is already here, the time when shoppers go on a buying binge. Buying more than you need is encouraged around Christmas time, but for millions of Americans, compulsive spending means more than a seasonal spree. It's a dangerous year-round obsession, as Lee McCarthy reports.
Betty wants to remain anonymous because she is an addict. She is addicted not to alcohol, not to drugs, but to spending.
I suppose I felt that if I had more charge cards, I would be more accepted or a better person. I got the best cards from the best stores and charged things.
Millions of Americans charge things, some more than they can afford, but compulsive spenders are constantly charging. They say it fills some inner need.
And I firmly believe when you hand over plastic, you're not cognizant of how much that thing costs, and you just want it. You're not looking at the quality. It's just a fix. Give it to me. It's a fix.
She ran up a debt of $6,000 on her credit cards while earning only $5,000 a year at a part-time job. Judy is also a compulsive spender. She charged $15,000 worth of clothes in just 1 year and then filed for bankruptcy.
And so what I do when I get lonely is run out to a shopping mall. And I started buying things that I didn't know I was buying them, even while it was happening. Things that I didn't like, things that I knew I'd never wear.
Compulsive spending, a disease which psychiatrists and psychologists say can be as serious as drug addiction or alcoholism. The experts say that because so little research has been done, they don't know how many Americans are compulsive spenders, but they suspect the number is in the millions.
Now we're finding that there are people who are out of control with shopping. It's like a drug to them. They feel like when you take a drug, they feel high. They feel powerful because society says the more you own, the more you are. If your shopping bag is full, your life is full.
To those it afflicts, compulsive spending can mean more than heavy debts.
I am a convicted felon. I embezzled money from 2 organizations that I work for.
After he said goodbye to his son, Buddy Choi started serving a 6-month jail term for his crime. Buddy stole $16,000 from the city of San Francisco to pay off his credit cards.
I would not think of, do I have enough cash to buy it? I wouldn't think about how will I be able to pay for this. If I had a credit card, I would just use the credit card. I have blocked out many parts of my memory, and that's one part that I have blocked out. I don't know where the money went.
Buddy recently joined a mutual support group called Spender Menders. It was started by Sandy Gostin just 2 years ago when she got out of prison. She had embezzled $29,000 to support her own spending habit. Psychologists credit such groups with helping people curb their spending by scrutinizing their budgets and shopping habits. Usually their first advice is to get rid of credit cards. After Betty turned to a group in Los Angeles, that's exactly what she did.
It was freedom. I just didn't have to rely on that plastic, that thing to fill up my ego.
But most compulsive spenders continue to feed their egos with credit cards, and this is the time of year they can spend themselves into serious debt. Lee McCarthy, NBC News.
At New York's Downtown Athletic Club, in the closest vote in the history of the Heisman Trophy, Auburn running back Bo Jackson edged out Iowa quarterback Chuck Long to take the honor. After the announcement, Jackson had an answer for critics who have charged he is a quitter at heart.
Well, the only thing that I can say about that is I know what I can do, and I am not a quitter. And if I feel that it's necessary for me to take myself out of competition, it's not because I'm a coward.
Bo Jackson faces an unusual choice for a college player, whether to play pro football or baseball. 2 professional baseball teams drafted Jackson, and he's expected to rate highly in the pro football draft next spring. Former Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart died today in a New Hampshire hospital. Stewart, who was 70, suffered a stroke this week. He was considered a pivotal swing vote on the court for 23 years until he retired in 1981. He said he never wanted a label on himself other than trying to be a good lawyer. Television's Burr Tillstrom, the creator of Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, died at his home yesterday in Palm Springs, California. Tillstrom, who was 68, was regarded as a television pioneer. His gentle puppets, Kukla, Ollie, Fletcher the Rabbit, and Beulah the Witch, joined with Fran and Allison for an immensely popular program, Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, which ran for 10 years and won 5 Emmy Awards. Here's a short clip of the program when it came on the air in the 1950s.
RCA Victor and its dealers present Burr Tillstrom, creator of Kukla, Ollie, and all the Kuklapolitan players, with Fran Allison in Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
Here we are, back with you again. Yes, by golly. And yes, by golly. Kukla, Fran. Here we are again.
I want to show you 2 beautiful new cars that are coming from Ford Motor Company. The way Ford engineers look at them, from the inside out. This is the Ford Taurus wagon, and this is the Mercury Sable sedan. Both are completely new mid-sized front-wheel drive cars, and we've engineered a new standard of quality into them, part by part, feature by feature. We set new standards for 6-passenger roominess and comfort, for their engines and transaxles, for their suspensions, for corrosion protection. The V6 is even equipped with a stainless steel muffler and exhaust system. In all, these cars have over 300 engineering details designed to set new standards of automotive quality. Taurus and Sable will be in Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer showrooms December 26th. And if you appreciate the beauty we see on the inside, wait till you see them from the outside.
I am Marvin Kalb. Sunday on Meet the Press, Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole on why there's nothing yet on tax reform and a balanced budget. Sunday on Meet the Press.
NBC Sports. All the excitement of college basketball is back. December 21st, John Thompson leads his Georgetown Hoyas north to meet Joey Meyer, now in his 2nd season in the 2nd city, as Georgetown battles DePaul. College basketball, it's the stuff weekends are made of on NBC Sports.
There's a time when others make decisions for you.
This one.
Later on, you make your own decisions. Now, many of you are being asked to make an important one. If you don't choose a long-distance company, one will be chosen for you, and it might not be the right one for you. So if the AT&T services you've always counted on are important to you, be sure to mail in the ballot you'll be receiving. This one, please. There's one way to be sure the right choice is made. Make it yourself. AT&T, the right choice.
How far would you go to watch Halley's Comet, the kitchen window, on top of the shed, or the Kalahari Desert, a spot some astronomers recommend? NBC News correspondent Stephen Frazier took a novel approach.
It was a rare chance to pierce the clouds that settle over Britain in winter. A view of Halley's Comet for 99 Britons at a time. So many signed on for the original 4 flights, British Airways added 16 more. Every seat sold.
As you can see, it's really black. It's absolutely black out there, so there's nothing between us and the stars. By having the experts on board to tell us exactly where to look, we're looking at it in the most clean, crystal clear way that we can possibly do it.
Moments after takeoff, the lights went down, and the passengers struggled to find the comet. A difficult task even when 7 miles high. This is how the night sky looked. That is Jupiter. This time around, the comet is not the blazing streak of light that was seen in 1910. It is still only a faint smudge in the sky, not visible to the camera, but apparent to some passengers.
Like a fuzzy blob in the sky, you can see 4 stars, top, bottom left, on the right, just a couple of centimetres underneath. There's a fuzzy blob in the sky, and that was it, but it was fabulous.
Then tell me why it was special.
Well, because I knew that was the comet.
And what does the comet mean to you?
Well, we'll only see it once in our lifetime, won't we?
It was a twice-in-a-lifetime event for Ellen Brown, 87 years old, who said the comet looked better the first time she saw it in 1910.
Well, it was just like a tadpole with a head and a flash tail.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Very bright.
This time it wasn't bright, but it was there, and that was enough for these people. It wasn't only the sweep of the constellations apparent tonight, but the sweep of history as well. Caesar saw this comet, so did Shakespeare and Tolstoy. They saw it from the ground. Tonight, some people aboard this plane saw it from the air and wondered how people will see Halley's Comet the next time it appears. Stephen Frazier, NBC News, Manchester, England.
And that's our news. Tomorrow, Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole will be interviewed on Meet the Press. I'm Connie Chung in New York. See you again Monday morning on NBC News at sunrise. Thank you for joining us, and for all of us at NBC News, good night.